The stakes have never been higher. The competition has never been stronger. 42 drivers, 25 rounds. One will be crowned champion. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. Tune in Wednesday nights on the iRacing eSports Network to watch the cars and stars of Lionheart, the Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by First Medical Equipment.
This is the original eSport racing game. This is iRacing.
The last 3 rounds have had 3 different winners, but the fast drivers are now looking over their shoulders because newcomer Zach Hefner has suddenly entered the fray. A second and a win in his first 2 races bodes well for the rookie driver. However, with Zach having missed most of the start of the season, Modos' early dominance and continued consistency allows him to retain the points lead. Will any of his rivals manage to put a stop to his reign? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 6 of the PRL GTE Sportscar Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing eSports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Nick Schmeg. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Nick, Imola's tight chicanes are throwing a curveball at all the drivers who have gotten used to the track so far. Tell us what they're up against today.
Yeah, just like you said, I hope they haven't gotten too used to the crazy high speeds and fast turns we've seen in the past few rounds, because we're dealing with the exact opposite tonight. While it's a lot easier to just call it Imola, the official full name of this place is the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari. And if you know anything about Ferrari, you'll know that this is essentially their playground. We're 80 kilometers, or about 50 miles east of their headquarters, and we know that they like to perform well here. However, just like everyone else, they're going to have to overcome the challenges that Imola presents. Tight turns and awkward braking zones create for a couple of varying racing lines. That's 17 turns, which sounds like a lot, but they're all crammed into a course that's barely 3 miles long. When it opened in 1953, Imola was terrifyingly fast. About half a century later, it's seen a multitude of safety improvements, giving the track the personality of being known for its difficulty in cornering through elevation change that we've come to know today. And while you think that creates a lot of passing zones, you have to be careful, because still, it is notorious for getting tires on the wrong side of the curb and propelling you off the track. Imola's history here is rich, and to get a better look at that history ingrained into the racetrack, let's send you down to that curvy front straightaway to begin the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Taylor Burris in the GSRC Ford GT, so let's do a lap around Imola. The run down to Tamburello provides one of the best opportunities to overtake, but you gotta watch out for the braking because of the way the track jinks to the left. Also, keep in mind that this chicane has 3 apexes, and even though the last one is flat out, you don't want to pinch yourself too shallow entering it. Then there's a short burst to Villeneuve. Passes are a lot trickier here because the first half is rather quick. It's not uncommon to see drivers wind up in the gravel to the left because they carry too much speed. After that, there's almost no time before Tosa, but you do still see sneak attacks that are actually successful at this hairpin. The important part will be squaring it off for the best launch up the hill. Carrying momentum is important with how steep of a climb it is up to Piratella. Bring it across the track at the blind crest and then get on the binders. This left-hander is surprisingly tricky to get the car down to the apex, and every car I've ever driven here has experienced bad understeer. Then you'll switch sides yet again and line up for Aqua Minerale. This is one of the toughest corners on the track if you ask me. You're braking and turning on the first half and then have to be ultra careful not to go wide at the exit of the second half. Once again, we climb out of the valley and head towards another good chance for a pass, the Alta Chicane. The big thing here is you don't want to be too wide because it's narrow and the curbs are very tall. You're bound to see a few altercations throughout the day at this part. Finally, we head back downhill one last time. The run to Ravazza involves a curved entry, but what really deceives drivers is the drop in elevation under braking. It's stupid easy to outbrake yourself, and this is where I've seen the most locked up wheels during the lap. The second apex also plays a critical role because of the exit onto the front stretch. It's the longest acceleration zone of the track, so you really don't want to leave yourself vulnerable. The rest of the lap might be follow the leader, but this is where the side-by-side action really erupts. However, if you've kept it all together, you've now finished a lap around Imola. The beauty of this track up and down through its hills and amongst the foliage really comes through when you see it from the car's perspective. As always, today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. The Simulation MotorSports Association is a sim racing platform created by experienced racers. Established in 2015 and supported by the International Sim Racing Federation, the association is bringing together organizations and communities to further promote sim racing globally. Concentrating on all sims worldwide, they offer a focused opportunity for sim racers to compete with each other. They also provide consultancy services to this growing esports world. SimMSA offers solutions for racing simulator requirements and custom-built simulator parts, as well as complete customization and upgrading of existing simulators. You can find them at SIMMSA.net. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Frazier Deeter. Frazier Deeter is a nationally recognized PCAOB registered CPA and advisory firm headquartered in Atlanta with thousands of clients globally. It provides a wide range of services, including tax, audit, advisory, internal controls, and transaction support to achieve each client's unique financial goals. With offices in Alpharetta, Atlanta, Las Vegas, Nashville, and Tampa, Frazier Deeter has consistently been named a best of the best CPA firm by Inside Public Accounting and is ranked among the top 60 largest CPA firms in the United States. You can find them at FrazierDeeter.com. Big thanks to those companies for helping sponsor this season of the PRL GTE Sportscar Challenge. Now, let's take a look at the points thus far that we've racked up this season. And Nick, unfortunately, for those who aren't a fan of Modoff, seems like there's a familiar name at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Despite Carl Modoff being at the top, he's on a bit of a winless streak. Last 3 races we've seen, we have not seen that car pull into victory lane. Despite that, the 2 wins he had at the beginning of the season and the consistency he's had in the past 3 rounds are going to keep him on top of the points headed into this race at Imola. Now, Sean Macbeth is behind him, and Macbeth does not have a win this year, but just like Modoff, he has yet to finish outside the top 5 this year. That's 5 top 5s to start off the year. Pretty great for those 2 drivers. Christian Eisler is behind them. He's another one of the winners that we had this year. He's 19 points back, just barely holding off Andres Espinoza, who's 1 point further back. Jorge Flores is behind them, just barely in 5th, because it's only 2 points that he's in 5th over Fernando Borda in. We do also have a teams championship, though, that they're fighting for, and not a whole lot has changed in this one. So the Speedworks Racing team continues to flood the top 5, but they're having a little bit of company up here. The Coca Motoclar Racing team with Clark and Modoff behind them by 14 points. You see the SRT team East behind them, swapping places with the West team, 21 and 31 points back. And then Team Bushfink Racing, they came in last week 5th. They're still going to be 5th heading into this one. They've got quite a lot of ground to work up, but Ben Perez and Christian Eisler, a couple good finishes for them. I'm sure they could cut down that gap.
Those 2 no stranger to good finishes, but the competition ever increases in this series. Let's take a look at what today's race will involve. We are in round 6 out of 10, so we're past the halfway point. That bodes well for Modoff, although you saw that his points lead is getting a little bit scant. They have 4 cars that they can choose from that are all balanced out, but each have different characteristics: the Porsche, the Ferrari, the Ford, and the BMW. This is one of their sprint formats. At 45 minutes, that means you can expect 1 pit stop because of the fact that, unlike the real cars, they have a smaller fuel cell. So they do have to make 1 fuel stop to make it to the end. They have an incident cap of 24, which means they will be disqualified if they go over it. They also have no spare car waiting in the pits if they damage theirs. So you break it, you bought it. That'll certainly be the case for a few drivers today, with this track having caught a few people out over the seasons that it has shown up here in the PRL GTE series. Modoff currently topping the times in the qualifying, but he's got Flores close behind him once more. Hopefully we'll see a good race up at the front, as we did last week at Spa. And you saw last week at Spa on the iRacing eSports Network, and this week, once again, on IESN. In fact, the whole season can be seen on there. To see more of it in your YouTube feed, though, we encourage you to subscribe to the iRacing eSports Network. All you got to do is click the big red button that says subscribe, and then we get all of the PRL GTE Sports Car series in your feed. You know, interestingly, I have noticed that Christian Eisler, who looked like he lacked a little bit of pace at Spa, has found it once again and is thriving here today in Italy, Nick.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good right now. He is just a little bit further back. Now it's a bigger gap to Flores because Flores just set an even faster lap than he had before.
Even still, Flores is a whole 4/10 back off of Modoff. So they've got some work to do to catch up to him. Eisler on a slow lap, so we're not really... oh, no, actually that was his fast lap. Christian Eisler... Oh, no. He just crossed the line. Excuse me. I got confused when I looked and I saw that he was red on his last lap and he hadn't crossed the line yet. This is Justin Rame, who crosses the line himself. The driver puts in a 39.2, so that is not quicker than his 39 flat to promote him above 8th.
We did just have Federico Montini jump to number 2 on the board. He's still 4/10 behind Modoff, but takes Flores off the top row.
And Federico was looking very strong in the warm-up. His practice time stuck him around second place for much of the time. We watch Gilmet come across, and looks like that is his fastest lap so far. Puts him up to 19th. The driver that I'm a little surprised is as far down as he is Zach Hefner, our winner last race. So got a second place in his first one at Monza. Right on board with the Ohio driver. Number 1, 2, 3 has a 1:38.8 as his fastest lap. He's got 8/10 to get up to the pole.
Yeah, I was also kind of surprised to see him down there. He's got a little bit of draft right here from his fellow Ferrari driver, Christian Eisler, who sits a position in front of him.
On the front stretch. And across the line, let's see what he's got underneath him this time. It is a 1:38.4. That is faster, but only enough to put him onto the second row in P4.
And that also puts Christian Eisler, who just set his fastest lap, up into second, bumping Federico Montini down to third. So Flores, just like that, down to 5th.
And Hugo Galaz. This is a much better lap than his first one. I think that was just his out lap, honestly, last time by a 40.7. And that is only going to take him up one position, sadly, from the number 18 car. That puts him 27th. Curious about Sean Macbeth, the Mr. Consistency for this season. Number 252, sitting in 6th position. Unfortunately, going to abandon this lap right as we go to him. So forget that.
We also have yet to see a lap time from Abner Acosta. I don't know if he's going to be able to put one in. It looks like he's having some connection issues, unfortunately, tonight. But he's been fast the last couple of races as well.
And Abner is not in the session right now. So with 20 seconds left, I don't think he's racing today. I think maybe those issues too much for him. Christian Eisler, who continues to try and take the pole away, is 3.5 behind Carl Modoff, and this is going to be his last opportunity because the checkered flag now comes out, and unfortunately he's going to throw it away out of the last corner. That's going to mean it's down to Montini, Hefner, and Flores to try and overtake Modoff. And I think Flores is going to be our first across. 929 has a 38.5. He sits in 5th place. He's 4/10 behind. A 38.2 is only good enough for 2nd place, but he does get ahead of Iceland.
Yeah, it's a lot better than back in 5th or 6th where he was. Taking a look at Montini once again, trying to improve.
Through Aqua Minerale. Montini's fastest lap is a 38.4, also 4/10 off of Modoff. He comes up to the Alta chicane, one of the trickier little flicks right and left, very tight with Hall curbs. And he's nice and smooth through there. Is this going to be enough? In fact, he's yet to get onto the podium this season. Down and across the line. This is a slow lap for him, so unfortunately Montini not able to do it either. Going to James LeBlanc, who just ahead of Galaz, does not improve. I believe that only leaves Corey Clark out on track. Along with Kenny Rodriguez, looks like he's just about to finish his. So these two coming to the line. Rodriguez going to abandon his lap. Corey Clark going to finish his out in the Porsche. Clark sitting in 17th. Is this going to count? His last two did not, and unfortunately looks like he's already finished his qualifying. So that's it for Corey Clark and for all of our drivers qualifying. So let's go through our starting order. Karl Modoff on the pole. Can he finally return to the top spot of the podium? It's been a bit. Jorge Flores is starting next to him in second, with Christian Eisler in third. Federico Montini will be on the outside of row 2 with Zach Hefner starting P5. Sean Macbeth is on the outside of row 3 and 6th. Andre Espinoza starts 7th with Justin Rame in 8th, and Dan Revito 9th. The top 10 going to be rounded out by Pablo Uribe.
Jean-Marc Tremblay going to be following Uribe there. He's going to be starting 11th alongside Pete Mabrotten in the number 15 car. That'll be your row 6. Row 7 going to go to Leif Peterson and Jerome Birdtoon, with Dan Rooney in the 77 car behind them, rounding out the top 15. Rodrigo Munoz and Corey Clark will be behind them, with Sebastian Massiera rounding out row number 9. Brett Thurman and Fernando Borda going to be in row number 10.
Tyler Guma starts 21st after them, with Josh Daniels in 22nd. Then it's Mike Richter starting 23rd, followed by Cristobal Valenzuela in 24th and Kenny Rodriguez P25. James LeBlanc behind him in 26th position. Hugo Galaz after that in 27th. And then it's Mike Cray, the last driver to get a time in 28th. Andre Martins looks like he is not in the session, so he is probably going to be a did not start. Same thing. No, Acosta has actually rejoined the session. Maybe he will get on the grid. And Lucio Vargas also will be at the tail and is already gridded up himself. It's the last of our 31 drivers out here today. Pretty full field at Imola. Hopefully traffic not a determining factor in who takes away the victory. Certainly could cause some headaches as you see them all coming out to the backstretch, heading down towards Ravazza, lining up behind the Porsche pace car. Just about a third of a lap that they do before they go racing. And taking a look at how our order did indeed in terms of which cars are where. See a fair amount of Ferraris, but also some Porsches up at the front. Really seem to be the two dominant forces here today. Not seeing many of the Bimmers.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier in the pre-race show how Ferrari kind of at their home track today. They actually have won the last 3 races. The only 2 they haven't are the first 2 that were won by Modoff and his Porsche. So they've got some momentum headed into today. It's a good place to have momentum for them.
Absolutely. Pace car taking off towards Ravazza now under the bridge. And then they will release these competitors on the front stretch. That weaving front stretch that Nick mentioned, how it's not quite straight. That could cause some miscommunication with the cars all bunched up. It's kind of got a history in this series, as well in real life, of causing issues. The Tamburello chicane. Let's see if they handle it. Pace car is in. They've given control to Modoff. He accelerates away. Green flag is out here at Imola. Immediately, he gets a great jump over Jorge Flores, who is trying to fend off Christian Eisler. Eisler gets to the inside, down towards turn 1. They hit the chicane. How's the braking going to look? Eisler looking a little bit farther ahead. Just barely chops him off. Other cars behind now streaming into this 3-apex chicane. And only one spun car so far. That's Mike Cray all the way at the back. Otherwise, it's clean.
Flores having to get off the gas just a little bit to let Eisler go by. That allowed Zach Hefner in 4th there to close in quite a bit. Oh, contact in front of him.
Second and third come together. Eisler gets turned around, tries to get the car going, and he gets hooked. Turned around a second time. More cars have to take avoiding action. It is a mess back there. Flores avoids it all and now finds himself P2. Woof, what a development early on. And then Flores goes off. Flores is going to get a cut course penalty for that one, way off through Aqua Minerale, and this is going to hurt. Hefner somehow finds himself back in the mix and in second place after he started this race in 5th position.
Huge struggle for everyone here at the beginning. It looked like he might have gotten a little bit of help. I see some right rear damage on that car as well.
So the cream once again rises to the top. Unfortunately, that mostly includes Modoff, who has got a 1.5-second gap as they finish the first lap around. Hefner now up to P2. Sean McBeth as well has found himself 3rd place, and Espinoza is in 4th, closely chasing behind. Come through Tamburello for the 2nd time. Oh, and we got a car having a cut course. I think that was Dan Revito through Tamburello. He's dropping down the order as more of his Speedworks team slips on by. Actually, that might have been Flores.
Yeah, it looks to be Flores again with more issues.
In fact, he's under attack. Yeah, I think that's Mo Broughton on it. He's inside through Tosa. He gets him. So does his teammate Jean-Marc Tremblay. Still giving time back. Goodness. Nightmare scenario for Jorge Flores, who started on the front row of this race. He's down to 13th now that he can get the car going again. That was certainly a shakeup. Let's jump back to Justin Ream, one of the Speedworks drivers. He's chasing Federico Montini. That's in P5. Got a little help behind him. That's Dan Revito in his mirror, as you can see. Or I should say screen. It's not actually a mirror. Also, Pete Mo Broughton challenging behind them as they come down to Ravazza, setting up for the final corner onto the front stretch. Can anybody get themselves a launch? And Federico Montini a little off track, but slowing down once again. We've got another Speedworks car. This time it is Sean McBeth.
That's a shame, too, because we were talking about how he had made his way all the way up to 3rd after not finding too much pace in qualifying, starting back in 6th. So, yeah, like you said, more problems for the Speedworks guys as he's having connection issues.
And Espinoza's got to be wondering what's going on, because he's now up to 3rd, even though he was 7th when the green fell. This is a wild start to this race. I wonder if any of these drivers are going to be charging back through the field. Look at how wide they're coming out of Villeneuve, though, as this train of cars works their way out of Tosa, being led by Montini. Raymond Revito chasing him in side-by-side action on screen here between McBeth and Mo Broughton. Up towards Piratella. McBeth takes it deep into the corner, hits the apex, and denies Mo Broughton 7th place. Sean McBeth through Aqua Minerale, looking a lot stronger through that double apex corner than Pete Mo Broughton. Despite being 2nd, Nick mentioned that McBeth has not won a race so far this season. Looking a little bit behind them, Jerome Pertome leading the likes of Uribe, Clark, and Flores very close behind. Defensive move from Uribe.
Uribe's having to fend off the likes there, like you said, of Corey Clark, who's got a huge run onto the front stretch here. He's going to take it down to the inside.
Got to run, uses slipstream, pulls up alongside of Uribe. Clark starts to drop back as the speed picks up. That forward slippery in a straight line. And he's not going to let him through now that they've hit Tamburello. Car ahead goes off. That's Bertone with a big mistake, trying to recover. He is a sitting duck at this point as Uribe goes by. Clark Nearly sneaks through, but he loses the car, and he's into the wall.
That was just some tight racing there. Just ran out of room going through the chicane. Take a replay here on Clark's point of view.
Slowing up, trying to follow the fourth. Oh yeah, just got a little too close and panicked on the binders, it looks like. Georgia driver gets a turn back around and returns, but is all the way down in 21st. See him come down towards Aqua Minerale. Not sure if we have time because there's so many close battles. I'd love to see a replay of that first lap incident with our second place drivers, Eisler and Flores. Let's take a glance. Now is as good a time as any. We're getting that one spooled up. This was into Tosa. Eisler had the spot. This is Flores in the green or white machine. Almost a surprise attack. This is a good angle. Let's stick with this from above. Give us a much better view of what exactly happened. Did Flores get turned in on? Was he too late into the corner? I don't know, Nick. That's hard to tell.
It really is. And the interesting thing there is that it looks like Eisler, he just rejoined traffic really quickly, too.
Well, he was kind of stuck in the middle of the track.
He was.
So he almost had no choice.
Yeah, and then look at Uribe coming through, picking him up.
Full 360, gets another shot from behind. Eisler is all the way down in 23rd, so that really hurt him. Came out the worst of everybody involved in that. Going up to the other driver involved. Well, ironically, he's with Uribe right now. This is Flores just ahead of him. And yes, he just overtook Uribe within the last few corners. 929 is gradually working his way back through the field.
Yeah, it was a pretty terrible start for Flores. Just kept losing spots, and just as soon as he thought he had it gathered up, he lost it again with some other incident. And now he looks like he's on the right path moving forward, getting around Uribe there. He's got a long ways to go until Tremblay, next car in front of him, though.
Let's check back in on Justin Rame, who was chasing Montini, but Sean Macbeth is now closed up behind him. Remember, Macbeth himself had a problem, had to slow down. He was all the way up to P3 at one point, and now he's going to promote himself to P5. Outbreaks his teammate cleanly into the Tamburello chicane and finds himself ahead of the 88 with 36 minutes left to go. Next on his list is going to be Montini. Ream couldn't do anything with him. Can Macbeth overtake the number 5?
It's been a roller coaster start for Macbeth as well. We've seen him drop up and down through the field, up to 3rd at one point and down to 8th at another point. So, hectic start for a lot of these Speedworks guys.
Let's take a look at Leif Peterson and see what's going on with him, because he started this race in 13th. He's down to 14th. He's in a nice little battle, though. Could gain some positions. That's Jerome Bertome in front of him and Fernando Border ahead of Jerome. But don't forget behind him, that is Dan Rooney that you see in the black and white Porsche giving chase. Following smoothly through Alta. Plunging back down the hill towards Ravazza. And I think we've had a problem just behind them. Tyler Gilmette finds himself turned around at the chicane. I'm not sure if he got help. Well, I think he did.
Yeah, I think he did as well. It looks like Sebastian Masiera, the 25 car, was to his inside. A couple of BMWs racing here hard.
Didn't mean to be to his inside, it looked like, because Gilmette was attempting to make a pass on the red machine in front of him. Didn't quite take it smoothly, and unfortunately, his fellow BMW driver had to shove him aside. Going to 9th place, that is Jorge Flores going past his fellow Speedworks driver Jean-Marc Tremblay. That was on their way into Villeneuve. Not a common place you see overtakes.
Yeah, not at all. It just shows you Flores how fast he is right now and how quickly he's trying to slice his way back up through the field.
You know, I suspect he's getting a little bit of help from teammates. Oh, we got a car
Montini.
up and over. Federico Montini's bad luck continues. This was Macbeth, actually, who got him. But it was Montini who initiated the event. Starts to lose it in Piratella. You'll see it here once they reach the top of the hill.
Yeah,
touch the grass.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Just the right side tires just clipped it a little bit, it looks like, into Piratella, like you said, and just that was enough. One of the higher speed turns here, just enough to lose it, and then Macbeth just comes through and T-bones him.
Incredibly, despite doing a barrel roll and that wing being all sorts of out of shape, Montini is still going, but he's down in 22nd place. Is probably gonna want some repairs once he hits his pit stop, which we're getting close to that window. Back up to Mo Broughton giving chase on Macbeth and Ravito.
And I'm surprised Macbeth's front end didn't get torn up with that as well. Must have hit him at the perfect angle.
I'm trying to take a look. We can get glances here and there. I think there's ever so slight damage. No, maybe it does look clean. Wow. So some net code possibly going in favor of Macbeth. Now that he is looking at the car ahead of Dan Ravito, there we ride on board while he gives chase. Just about a car length and a half behind, coming through Aqua Minerale, maybe setting him up for Alta. Looking much smoother, much better off the corner. He slips to the inside. Ravito does not defend. Hopefully he won't lose another position to Mo Broughton behind him. Gets back in line just in time. The BMW can't do anything about it.
So hard to make passes through there. As it is a lot of places on this track, you got to get a big run on one of these straightaways. We'll see them down back into Ravazza.
Look at these liveries surrounding poor Mo Broughton, though. It is just all Speedworks cars all around him. Nothing but. But he's holding his own in that 6th position. See if he can do anything with it. 31 minutes left to go in the race. Down towards Tamburello one more time. There's a little peek to the inside from Ravito. Nothing doing, though. Flores gets another one past Justin Ream. Or actually, no, he was ahead of Justin Ream, wasn't he?
I think they were side by side at the line. It might have shown up that Ream was in front of him.
So maybe Ream just deciding to back out of it since he didn't have the pass fully made on his teammate. Behind them, if they keep fighting like this, though, don't count out Uribe, who is currently in 9th. He's getting up to them bit by bit.
Yeah, Uribe's had a really fast day compared to what we've seen from him in the past. He sits back a little bit further back in the points, I think, so we see him normally towards the middle of the pack.
He's taking advantage of everybody else having some problems. Speaking of which, why don't we check in on the leaders real quick? Because Karl Modoff is pulling away from Hefner. I think he's got his groove back. The number 48, 4 seconds ahead of P2. But the good news for Hef is he's got 5.5 seconds back to Espinoza at the back of the podium. So Zach looking pretty solid if he just keeps it together for the rest of this race.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's gotten him up to 2nd in the first place, is just keeping it together. He started way back in 5th. Espinoza started back in 7th, so attrition has played out in their favor for sure to get them up onto the podium. Now they just got to keep it, like you said.
Back to this battle that involves a number of Speedworks cars, and now Uribe, who has definitely caught Ream. But really the closest fight here is between Flores and Mo Broughton, as Jorge gets awful tight behind the rear spoiler, using every inch that he can. He's going to try to duck to the inside. This didn't work out from before at Tosa, but he doesn't send it in. He stays behind Pete.
It's such a hard corner to try to master. A couple different lines drivers can take through there, but really it's so blind of a corner too, because you're battling that uphill section of the track there as well.
And behind them, we had an incident with Leif Peterson and I believe Dan Rooney. This was in Tosa. Rooney seems to have gotten a position the hard way.
Oh, yeah. Rooney came in on the inside there, and I don't know, Peterson gave him, well, room it looks like. This looks like Rooney washed up a little bit.
This is very reminiscent of the first lap between Eisler and Flores. Let's watch this. This is a good angle once again. That's Peterson you see in the black and blue car. The white and black car is Rooney. Deep on the brakes, trying to get it woed up and just, excuse me, coming through. This spot is mine. So Peterson down to 14th due to that. I think we're having some pit stops kicked off. Brett Thurman, who just had an off track, and Ravazza thinks it's a good a time as any to come and get his service. Uribe and Ream continuing to get a little bit hotter and a little bit hotter while they chase Flores right on board with Uribe.
Uribe continues to push up forward through the field. I think that's partially due to him being fast this week, and also partially due to Ream following the likes of this three-way battle in front of him with Ravito, McBroughton, and Flores.
Certainly isn't hurting so far. See them accordion together up through Aqua Minerale. This is a common sight here at I almost called it Monza, at Imola, is drivers stuck in a line having difficulty overtaking. Oh, McBroughton though under attack as Flores gets a fantastic run. McBroughton knows it, he defends it first, but he comes back to the racing line. Here comes Jorge Flores, ducks his nose in, but can't execute.
We've seen Flores, he likes to go where others won't when it comes to passing. He doesn't care if it's a good passing zone of the track or not. He'll go for it, trying to get his way back up through the field. We just saw that there. But we also saw McBroughton really try to defend aggressively.
Not defending this time, down towards Tamburello. Behind them, you may notice that red car of Uribe has dropped off. I think he got a bit of a cut course at Aqua Minerale, and he certainly lost ground. Staying with this battle down into Villeneuve. Oh, once again, I wonder if Flores just has more wing on the car, because he certainly seems to gain in the tight twisty bits on McBroughton.
Yeah, absolutely.
Report that Christian Eisler is pitted from towards the back of the field. Another missed opportunity for the Iceman. He may have gotten the win at Homestead this season. He certainly hasn't been able to do anything with it since.
Yeah, you mentioned Flores maybe having more wing. I think that's exactly what's happening, because you can see McBroughton really stretch that on any of the straightaways here, but then right through the S's, you can see Flores really close that gap. Actually, he swung it wide there.
Oh, did Justin Ream as well get a cut course?
Oh, I think he did.
Check here.
Yeah, there goes Uribe. Oh!
They slide their way into Ravazza. Uribe trying to take advantage of the slowed car. Oh, and Corey Clark has been in the wall. Corey Clark has trouble in Alta and finds himself nosing it into the tires.
This was looking like a good race for him as well. Yeah, just locked it up.
Towards the camera from on board. Just a little too much curb. Oh, embarrassing lock of the tires down into it, and he gets away without any damage, it looks like, but that cost him some time. Tries to take a pit stop while he's at it. Eisler is our highest pitter, fascinatingly. I think that is going to remain, actually, because I believe he's ahead of Clark. And yeah, Clark's not even close to getting out of the pits, so Eisler will stream on by. Flores continues to try and hassle Broaden. Broaden not giving it away, despite a few problems here and there, a few slow corners. Pete is making him work for it. Peterson not done with their little tussle. Number 77 car took it away from him almost by force. Peterson looking like he wants it back.
Yeah, he's got every right to want it back, and I think I think Rooney knows exactly how he should expect maybe to get past here. I think Peterson's going to use as much of the racetrack as possible. He's being aggressive, as you saw there.
Rooney all the way off course, and he's going to head into the pits. This is a great opportunity for Peterson to try and jump him on pit strategy instead of have to overtake on track. Can the Texas driver do it? Flores, in the meantime, has pitted. Uribe is in. Those are two from the battle we were watching that involved Macbeth and Ravito and Ream. And Flores is going to stay ahead of Uribe, who we saw a little bit of damage on him. Remember, he got in contact with Eisler on the first lap. Wonder if that's where it came from.
Yeah, for having a car on top of him on lap 1, I'm surprised there's not a lot more damage on that red Ford.
That now gives the highest pitter to Jorge Flores, who returns in 19th. Unfortunately, he is in traffic. That is Mike Cray, who has yet to stop in front of him. And even if Cray pits this lap, this is not going to be helping Flores. We ride on board just to see how much he's slowing one of the leaders up. Stuck behind the number 29 car as they climb the crest towards Puritella. Oh, gets right up underneath them, but can't do anything to squeak by.
You can tell he's looking.
Flores is just ahead of Ream. Could actually lose positions, not just lose touch with Broaden.
Yeah, the last thing Flores needs. His race was pretty tragic from the get-go, but he was putting together some great laps after that to try to get it back together.
Still not able to get by. We're keeping half an eye on Peterson, who did not pit this lap, so he's going to stay out a little longer. He can manage to do that for a few more laps onto the front stretch here for these two. Flores, a little too far back for the draft to really help him here, unless he's way deep on the brakes.
And Flores does still have a little bit of front end damage from all the trouble he went through as well. That can't be helping him at all.
Closes in. Oh, gets right underneath him. Can he do something on Cray here? His momentum a little bit interrupted. He pokes his nose to the inside. He's got a wheel in, but it's going to have to be a daring move side by side into Villeneuve, and I think Flores has got it. That promotes him to 18th now, but the damage has been done. Time has been lost on track for the 929 car. The drivers he was racing with, Ravito, Macbeth. Do they stay out? Yes, they do. Past the pit entry. Same thing with Broaden. Not interested in playing their cards quite yet.
Yeah, Ravito still giving chase to Sean Macbeth in the 252 car ahead of him. He just can't quite get close. He likes to bunch them up together through the turns like you saw there.
Meanwhile, got a battle for P12. That's Munoz you see in the red Porsche. That's Maciera in the number 25. The BMW's got the inside down towards. He pokes his nose into Tamburello and outbraking himself, giving the spot up. Rodrigo Munoz, unfortunately, finds himself now in 13th.
Yeah, hard racing there. They were all over each other going down through Tamburello.
Still waiting on a number of cars to come in. Incredibly, we've had no retirement so far this race. Acosta and Martins did not starts, and the only two that aren't out on track. Otherwise, 29 drivers still going.
Yeah, and 26 of which are on the lead lap as well, so that's as well pretty impressive so far.
Above it all, it is Karl Modoff leading. It is now 6.3 seconds ahead of Zach Hefner. Zach not really been able to do anything to run down the number 48.
Yeah, he's been losing time lap after lap as well, and he's not really being caught up in a whole lot of traffic either. Modoff just having one of those dominant Karl Modoff races like we saw all season last year.
And Justin Ream, I think, maybe had a problem and has decided to pit. And he's having some connection issues now, too. He was very, very slow for a while.
I think he might have had a course. Yeah, I think he may have. He was racing with Jean-Marc Tremblay, it looked like.
I hope that's not a black flag that he's having to serve then. It'd be even more frustrating. Guillemette goes on by, and LeBlond comes in behind them. Kenny Rodriguez. Starting to see a few of the dominoes fall. Pennsylvania driver hits his pit stall. Flores stays the highest pitter out on track, up in 15th as he gains more with other drivers coming on in. So how far can these drivers go on fuel? And you seem to have spotted something with Macbeth here. Nick, what's going on?
I'm not sure. I'm wondering, he fell to 6th on my timing and scoring here.
Yeah, taking a look. Yeah, he was ahead of Mo Broaden.
Oh, he had an issue.
Aquaman Raleigh. It was a long time ago.
He went wide off the track.
When Andre Espinoza pits, third place driver, takes it in. It's one of the ones that could be competing with Flores, depending on the pace that the number 929 has had. It's his stall. The 87 getting his fuel. Tires really not called for usually in this series. Flores is hitting Ravazza right now. Espinoza already out of his stall, but he can't quite get off the pit limiter yet. It's a long ways to the cones from the pit stalls. He is out and gone just as Flores is crossing the start-finish line. He is not going to catch him, but he's looking relatively close. And that was Guillemette going through. Guillemette has not stopped, and what we saw with Flores is now happening to Espinoza, being held up by a slower car yet to take their stop.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing here, though, is that Guillemette, I mean, he's going to have to take that stop in the next couple of laps. Not that that makes that much better for Espinoza behind him, but...
Flores, as Espinoza returns, is only 3.2 seconds back. That is doable in these last 15 minutes. The 929 could catch the number 87. It all depends. Coming through Aqua Minerale, still stuck behind the Bimmer. Our leader and Dan Revito both pit. Mo Broughton pits. Stay with this battle. His
coming
stop
out.
is already finished. will easily retain the lead from the pit stops we expect. Hefner and Macbeth did not come in, so those are our 2 leaders for the moment. Peterson in. Vito's coming out. He was racing with Mo Broughton, Mo Broughton's right behind him. It was Espinoza. And Espinoza's going to be easily by, actually.
Despite being held up a little bit, too.
And Flores comes out behind both Mo Broughton and Ravito. Can't catch a break. There was an incident back there. That was Jorge Flores. Did Flores maybe incident out?
Oh, he very well could have.
Yeah,
they've got a 24 incident limit tonight. And Imola, of course, notorious for off tracks. And Flores with all those 4Xs he had early in the race.
Lost control into Tamburello, and he was gone.
Wow.
Hefner hits from the lead. This will hand it back to Carl Modoff. Probably. It was a decent pit for Modoff at 10 seconds. Macbeth also in. Tremblay stays out. See Hef on his way. But Modoff is going to be easily by. Not back into the lead yet. Into second place, still waiting for Tremblay to come in. Hefner passed by Maciera, who is yet to take his stop. Boy, you got to wonder, what would this championship look like if Hefner had showed up a few rounds earlier? His second place is going to be easily his. A second, or 2 seconds and a first if things stay as they are. Espinoza well behind Hef too.
Yeah, those pit stops definitely put a lot of gaps in front of these, or in between these, a lot of the leaders.
Taking a look at them right here.
Yeah.
Oh, and Macier almost getting into Hef. Let's take another look at this one. Another one bites the dust after too many incidents. And I think there was slight contact with Zach Hefner.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe just a little bit, just a little nick in his left door. Yeah, there was.
I really hope he didn't touch his suspension then. Yeah, we heard it there on the screen. He stays out. So that's the good news for Zach Hefner fans. Whatever it is, he looks like he thinks it's manageable. So Tremblay finally pits. Daniels as well. I believe Galaz is going to be the last one that needs to take service. And it returns the order back as it should be. This is our leader, Carl Modoff, just running you down real quick through our top 5. 10 minutes left to go when pit stop's finished. Modoff put it on pole. He stretched away from the moment they said go, and he hasn't looked back since. Looks like it's going to be returned to the top step for our current champion. Zach Hefner, last round's winner, is looking like in another second place. His second in only 3 races. Andre Espinoza is giving chase on him, but it is a whole 10 seconds back to the number 1, 2, 3. Andre, who started this race P7, is probably still going to be very happy with a podium. Dan Ravito, running not too far back for the Speedworks team in P4, has his fellow Teamworks driver about a second behind him. Sean Macbeth rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, further back, Pete Mo Broughton back there as well in 6th. He's the next car. It's been a great drive up through the field for him today for sure. Had his fair share of trouble that he ran into as well. He was being swarmed by all those Speedworks racing cars early in the race as well. Another great drive for another great driver behind him is Pablo Uribe, who is up into 7th, a lot further up than we normally see him, so pretty awesome to see him way up there as well. Justin Rame as well up there, battling with a lot of Tremblay, up there battling with a lot of these guys. He's up to 8th right now. And again, I mean, all of these guys have had extremely eventful races. Look even further back, that's where Rain comes into the picture. He's back in 9th right now, and Fernando Borda would be the car behind him in 10th. While that was happening, though, it looked like we had an incident with Vargas.
Yeah, Lucio Vargas, who was running 23rd, botched the entry into Villeneuve. That puts him down to 25th. It was a hard hit into the tires. So the number 71 essentially trundling around until he could get to the checkered flag. The Andes team Porsche not looking too bad considering how hard he threw the nose into the barrier. Eight minutes left now on the clock. As Nick mentioned, a lot of the drivers have spread apart due to the pit stops. Certainly thinned the field out. This is the best battle on track between Peterson, there you see in the blue and gray Porsche, and the black car of Jerome Bertome. This is for 11th.
Couple of great points days for these guys as well. We oftentimes see speed, they just get caught up in trouble.
So how's our various makes of cars faring here today? I have bad news for Ferrari fans. Despite being at one of their home tracks, the fact that Modov has been dominating these Porsche is up at the top. In fact, there's 2 Ferraris on the podium, but then from there you don't see any until, I believe, 14th place, and that is Christian Eisler. Eisler, we wondered about how his recovery drive would go. Probably not as good as he would have wanted. He's only P14. He's got another 2.5 seconds up to Dan Rooney, so he could still catch him, but not sure he'll do much more than that 13th spot if he gets there and gets by the 77.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have our top BMW, I believe, up with Pete Mobrotten in 6th. And behind him, not just the lone Ford, but also the top Ford, Pablo Uribe, in 7th. Great run for them as well.
Going to manage to at least represent within the top 10. You see one of those bimmers. Oh, and did something happen to Borda? Borda is falling down my timing and scoring. And I think Aqua Minerale caught out another driver. And he had contact actually with Bertome, one of the drivers we were just watching in the battle. Let's see if we can get a replay.
Yeah, we were watching Bertome and Leif Peterson battle just a while ago for 11th. Peterson just squeaked through that incident. Bertome, though, caught him at an even worse angle, and yeah.
From the Bears' perspective, you see the spinning car and just couldn't hold it tight enough. Let's watch from Borda's perspective.
Quite a bit of damage on the front of that 217 of Bertome as well after this.
Oh, you know what? It looked like it was even by the first curb. Car was all out of sorts, and there you see the hard side-to-side contact between those two. So what did this do to Jerome? He's about 1.5 seconds behind Peterson, but he's not dropping super quickly. A little damage in front of the car. Otherwise, he's able to continue. Going a little bit farther ahead. Battle for 8th, starting to bubble up. This is Jean-Marc Tremblay in the Speedworks car in front. The Speedworks car behind is Justin Rame.
You can see Rame using all of the racetrack there. Hopefully they don't rack up the incidents late in this one. I don't want to see any more DQs out of this race.
So far, I've only had 2. We have had Tyler Gilmet go in with repairs for an incident. Otherwise, Mike Richter returned many laps down after he took about 17 minutes of repairs himself. And the last car running is Lucio Vargas. An attempt down into Tamburello between these two.
Rame got a heck of a run there, a heck of a slipstream on the front stretch. Just not enough to get it within striking distance of Jean-Marc Tremblay in front of him. Running out of time, though.
On board with the trailing Porsche, looking ahead. I don't know how much team orders come into play for the Speedworks folks. Looks like he's genuinely trying to put pressure on to Jean-Marc. He's staying relatively close behind him. Three minutes left to go on the clock. The laps tick down. Got a nice little battle between Munoz, Daniels, and Corey Clark. 3 cars fighting in the mid-pack. Oh, and more problems for Borda in the exact same corner. In almost the exact same fashion.
Yeah, once again into Aqua Mineral. Loose into the first apex and just lost it by the time he got to the second one.
Watch the Bimmer approach. This one looked better on the first curve, but this time just goes wide and you can see the car coming out from underneath him. That drops him all the way down to 14th, and it's good news for Christian Eisler, who is already now to 13th and chasing down Rooney very quickly. Up to Tremblay, still holding off Rame as they come towards Villeneuve. Justin not willing to chuck it in quite yet. Don't need to leave this battle, but I can report that Karl Modoff is going to get the white flag this time by. It has been a tough race today. We've seen some silly mistakes, some understandable mistakes, and some rough racing here at Imola in the PRL GTE Sportscar Challenge. Wait a little bit, heading down to Ravazza. Tremblay gets himself a little safer.
Rame's still trying to pick up as much slipstream as he can. Down through the plunge here, downhill through Ravazza, like you said.
He gets a good run off the second apex. He'll be sitting pretty. But it's just not quite good enough. Look at that Porsche start to streak away.
Yeah, that's one of Tremblay's best parts of the track, it looks like. That's why he's been able to keep this lead over Rame for 8th place.
Certainly not going to get an opportunity this time into Tamburello. Let's switch over to our leader. Half a lap to go for Karl Modoff. 11.5 seconds back to Zach Hefner. This is the Modoff we're used to seeing the past season and a half. Comes through the Alta chicane. That's just some lap traffic up ahead of him in the form of Galaz. Impressively, 23 cars have stayed on the lead lap despite the large field. Off of the first apex of Ravazza, cleanly around the second apex of Ravazza, and onto the pit straight. Karl Modoff 3 rounds he was a miss, but he's returned back to the top spot of the podium to take victory here in Italy. Cleanly into second place. One to watch out for. Well, Espinoza is not having it all his own way. Ravito's run him down. The 87, though, just squeaks through to finish on the podium.
Mo Broughton coming across in front of Uribe. That's back for 6th behind Sean Macbeth, who rounded out the top 5. From Belay coming in front of Justin Rame. Rame was never able to get around him. Peterson looks like going to be your top 10.
Tome gets 11th, and Rooney stays ahead of Eisler. Eisler still able to get back up to 13th, but going to be kicking himself today. That's the last of our battles that I'm seeing left on the track. Most of them pretty spread out. Oh, I take that back. Munoz slow. Did he get a cut course, or is he out of fuel? I think he had a slowdown.
I think that's fuel, actually.
Yeah. Oh. Munoz cutting it too shy as more cars go on by. That was LeBlanc you saw getting ahead of him. I think he'll get to the line.
He's got the downhill there, just gradual slope to help him.
There goes another car. That's Valenzuela. Cray is going to get him. In fact, he's going to be the last car to finish because of this. It's 12 miles an hour.
Not looking promising.
11 miles an hour. Nobody else is behind him to help push. You can see the flag stand from here. He's 8 miles an hour. I think he'll make it. I think he'll actually make it. 6 miles an hour. He's creeping forward.
Don't start weaving.
Oh, and I'm not sure that he's going to get there now. Just shy, inches shy of the line for Rodrigo Munoz. Somebody come and give the poor guy a push. He's still going at about 1 mile an hour right now. I think this is
done.
It. Yeah,
that's done.
That's it. Literally 3 feet from the line. Poor Rodrigo. All right, let's take it to break then. It has been a fun one here at MLS. Stick around because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. After that, we've got the driver interviews and the unofficial results. So don't go away. Welcome back to Autodromo. Enzo e Dino Ferrari, better known as Imola, for round 6 of the PRL GTE Sportscar Series. And our winner today was Karl Modoff in the Porsche. Sorry, Ferrari fans, they didn't get a home win, but they did get 2 of the 3 spots on the podium thanks to Zach Hefner, his second place of the season, and Andre Espinoza, I believe also his second podium this season. Dan Ravito finishes in 4th place with Sean Macbeth finishing P5. Pete Mobroden, how about this? 12th on the grid, taking 6th with the checkered flag. Pablo Uribe finishes 7th with Jean-Marc Tremblay coming home 8th. Justin Ream going to finish 9th, and Leif Peterson with a nice run to a top 10.
Good finishes for the 2 guys behind him as well. Jerome Bertoum in 11th and Dan Rooney in 12th, but Christian Eisler, it was a heck of an effort to try to fight his way back up through the field after getting spun on lap 1, actually being on top of another car at one point as well. So it's going to be a 13th place finish for him. Fernando Borda, Brett Thurman will be behind him, rounding out the top 15 with Corey Clark. He had problems of his own. Josh Daniels, Ken Rodriguez, James LeBlond, and Cristobal Valenzuela going to be your top 20 tonight.
Mike Cray finishes 21st with Hugo Galaz 22nd. Last car on the lead lap because poor Rodrigo Munoz unfortunately did not technically finish. He did get pushed across the line after we went to break, but they counted him as 1 lap down. He finishes 23rd. Federico Montini eventually came back out and finishes 24th. Lucio Vargas, P25. Then we get to the DNF. Sebastian Maciera, 26. Tyler Gilmet, I believe, brought it home eventually. 27th. Jorge Flores, 28th. Mike Richter, 29th. And then Martins and Acosta did not start for the day. Let's talk to our winner, who is back to his familiar spot here at the top step of the podium. Carl, you took the green flag and you never looked back.
Yeah, Imola is one of my favorite tracks. It's really hard to pass on with when you're running with equal guys. So I focused a lot on qualifying, hoping I can get up front and hopefully I can stay there. And then obviously a little bit of carnage behind me. It looked like with Flores and Eisler really helped me kind of get a gap. So yeah, that was awesome. Kind of went how I wanted it to, and feels good for sure to be back up top.
Do you think it's now a little bit more dependent on whether or not you prefer a track that you could take more victories like this, or do you think it's just a momentum thing for you?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be. I think it's momentum. I definitely had momentum last year, and this year, obviously, the competition's better. And congrats to Zach last week. That was awesome. They drove really good. Just going forward, I think each track there's going to be strong tracks for guys and car combos, and it's going to be an interesting season for sure.
Yeah, and this season really has been a track of a lot of, I guess you could call them draft tracks, even though these cars not as known for that, because next round we're going to Road America. So how do you feel about heading to that one?
I'm pumped for that. I'm glad it's on the schedule. It's one of my favorite tracks to drive, and it is a draft track, but it has 2 good passing opportunities with lots of cornering in between. So if you are fast, you can get away and break the draft, but so I think it adds to the racing without kind of feeling like you're anchored to somebody. So really great track. I'm looking forward to it. I think we're going to have a really good.
Well, we look forward to it as well. Congratulations. Glad to get to talk to you again, Carl.
Yeah, same here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Our winner today, Karl Modoff. And now Nick is going to be talking to Zach Hefner, who is 3 for 3 on podiums.
Yeah, we've only seen him 3 times this year, but he has yet to finish outside the top 2. And Zachary, you once again capitalized on that tonight.
Yeah, it was a kind of a weird race start. I wasn't really expecting that early contact, but I got through it and got chasing Carl, but it wasn't enough.
Did you have any pressure from behind you during that whole time? Or, I mean, it was a hectic start for a lot of guys in front of you. What can you focus on when you have so much attrition going on around you through that?
Well, it's nice to know you got teammates behind you that aren't going to hopefully push the issue on you. So not a ton of pressure from behind, but just a little concentration forward to escape the early contact.
Yeah, that's my next question for you. We saw you and all of the mass of Speedworks racing team guys out there having fun after the race. Is that a humongous advantage, or you just some guys having fun out there as well I mean, do you guys work a lot? What goes on in the huge clan of SRT guys that we see on track every week?
Generally, we try to practice with each other throughout the week. I wouldn't say there's too much like conspiracy going on. I mean, we all race each other hard, straight up. There's no tricks involved with that. There's no, oh, let's block this guy or nothing like that. It's all fair game, but it's nice to know that when you're racing someone, they're gonna race you fair and clean, and maybe if they'll let you know if they're gonna try to take it from you.
Yeah, absolutely. We see it every week so far, and we've been very impressed with the speed and the talent out of your team. So, congratulations on your second place finish today, and hopefully we get to keep talking to you, keep this streak alive for you.
Oh, let's hope so. Yeah, thanks, guys.
That was second place, Zach Hefner. And next we have Andre Espinoza, who took a third here at Imola. And Andre, I have to wonder, were you counting the cars down as you passed them and knew that you were going to be in third come the third lap? Or did you reach lap 3 and look down and suddenly realize you're on the podium?
Well, let me tell you guys, there was one track and one race that I was not hoping for anything. It was this track. So believe me, I'm as surprised as anyone else for being in the podium.
Towards the end, you had Dan Revito giving chase. Did he make you nervous at all about maybe snatching that away from you, or did you feel pretty confident?
Oh, I was confident, but confident that he was going to overtake me. My tires just definitely went on vacations. I definitely didn't have enough practice on this track during the week. So, no, yeah, that was definitely, if he could catch up, that was definitely his spot. I would not fight.
In the end, you still managed to snag another one. I believe this is your second podium, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to figure out if
that is correct. Yeah, Sebring first race, I got a second place, and then Imola a third one. So it's pretty good for the points in the stand.
Absolutely. I mean, do you think you could snatch some more throughout the remainder of the season?
It'll be pretty hard, but SRT and the entire team is just trying to do our best to get as many guys up to the top. So we'll keep on trying and putting more time in the practice. So.
Well, I'd say the effort has made your presence very well known, especially up here in the booth. Congratulations on another podium, and we look forward to seeing you at Road America.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great one.
Andre Espinoza, third place, after starting 7th and being all the way up to third by lap 3, hence his surprise. Let's close things up, though. Before we go out, we want to thank a few people, including the sponsors. The Simulation Motorsports Association can be found at SIMMSA.net, and Frazier and Deeter can be found at FrazierDeeter.com. If you want to check out either of those sponsors at some point to see if they can help you out. But also, we want to give a big thank you to iRacing for putting us on the iRacing eSports network. If ever there was a series that deserved to be on there, I'd say this one, with the racing action that they give week in and week out. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go out to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Nick, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. You can find us on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As we mentioned, heading over to Wisconsin next round. That'll be Tuesday, April 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.